Hello, everybody. Welcome to Glowing Card. We're not doing a gaming segment this time. Just wanted to get a quick review of the Y Files. They just released a podcast. I think it's about 3.5 hours long. It's the Basement Nerdrotic from Folsom Prison to millions of subscribers. It is Gary Buechler. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think they said it, but they don't say it very often in there. Gary Buechler, Buechler, and you guys probably know him more as Nerdrotic. Um, it goes over a lot of his life story in there, and that's about the first 2.5 hours. A lot of information there about how he grew up. Um, Now, I wouldn't I caution because there's some drug usage, and he goes to Folsom Prison. Obviously, it's in the title. So he spent some time in prison. There's a lot of life lessons he's talking about learning there. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. But that didn't, I mean, I kind of only wanted to touch upon that. The big stuff I wanted to touch upon, it comes a little bit later and really towards the end of the podcast. I mean, they talk about some of the Y-file stuff, some of the hidden pyramids and all the stuff, all the kind of conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat type of stuff that AJ talks about on the Y-files. Amazing stuff. And he's got some interesting takes on who he thinks built the pyramids in Egypt. Very, very interesting stuff. Again, not the stuff I really want to touch upon. What I want to touch upon is kind of the same stuff they talked about at the end there, and it was so refreshing to see people that are more on the left side of spectrum, politically, or maybe even middle of the road, politically. But he's talking about the same things I've been talking about for about a decade, maybe even longer, 15 years. Um, in all the video game lore, in all the big um, series like Harry Potter, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, I mean, you name a franchise, they kind of have this political message in there, and everybody knows what it is. I'm not going to get into what it is, but it wrecks um, the series for everybody. I haven't watched mainstream TV for at least 5 years now. I rarely go to see a movie now, although Project Hail Mary was really good. Highly recommend. I actually saw it twice. Once with some friends who went to see it pretty much opening weekend, and then my wife had to finish the book before she saw the movie, so she just finished it, so I went again with her. Um, so there's very few original messages or thoughts or ideas coming out of Hollywood. So this plays into why it's so important for there not to be a message in their stuff. Now he mentions they are looking for a new audience. Um, but I'm gonna quote the Who here. It's the same boss, same as the old boss. You're not looking for a new audience. I mean, you're looking for new audience members, stuff and people that will continue to watch and see uh, the content you're creating and putting out. And I'm really speaking to Hollywood at this point. And I can't believe they're not listening more than they are. It's like, oh, we didn't, and it. I mean, I think they're slowly starting to get the message now, and maybe the pendulum's swinging back. AJ mentions that. I've mentioned that. Um, so it's one of those things where maybe, possibly, they're learning. If they don't learn, Hollywood's gonna collapse. Absolutely. Because there's no new content, and the content that they are creating is destroying the universes that we've all come to love, cherish, and respect growing up. What we want to see is good writing. We want a good story arc. We want there to be an issue, a problem. We want our characters to be human and have faults. We don't want these perfect people, or mostly women, because I mean it's part of the messaging. And again, I don't want to get into it, but what we do want to see is people with flaws overcoming those flaws, or dealing with those flaws in such a way they still find a way to resolve whatever issues happening in the story. That makes a good story. That makes, you know, something we want to see up on the screen. And for the past 10 or 15 years, we've seen indoctrination and political views that comes up. It instantly draws me out, and I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. I can't deal with this. And even in the game Cyberpunk 2077 last night, and I'm sure this is why somebody changed their nickname and then told me about an experience they had with a family member, like almost, well, I wouldn't say immediately after, but maybe like 5 minutes after. On when I and you can go watch it. I'm getting ready to run a race, kind of at the end of the stream, and I noticed there's a flag on the back of the car, and my comment is, "Oh my God, what is that?" And that's really all I said about it. Um, but it always seems that there has to be something in there, and instantly drew me out. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this? In my head. I didn't. I still went ahead with the race and still accomplished what I needed to for the quest. So we're moving on with that. But it just goes to show you I'm not the only one. The vast majority, millions, maybe even a billion or two people that follow along with these storylines that really are invested. They're the core, hardcore group of people that love Star Wars. What will really bring and get you a new audience is to cater to the audience you already have. They bring in the next generation. They bring in the people that are going to love what they love through their own passion. Because usually, how many conversations have you been in where you're like, "Oh my God, have you seen the show? This is absolutely amazing. I love the show. Here, look this. Look at this. I've been watching Star Wars, since the 70s, and I read all of the novels, and Heir to the Empire was amazing book to read, and here's all this history behind here, and as you're sharing that, they see your passion, they see your love, they want to experience the same thing, right? They want to have that same passion, like, oh my God, he's so into this. Wait, what makes him so into this? Let me just watch this for 5 or 10 minutes. And they sit down, and before they know it, the entire movie's over. Like, wow, that was amazing. All of a sudden, you have a new fan, right? That's how it works. Not, oh, we need to be inclusive and get. If people like your story, if they like your characters, they're going to come back. They don't care about a message. They really don't. So it was, and I don't want to harp on that. Really, what I wanted to make this video about, and this is really what I want to stress, is that it's going to be, people are going to come and see these things not for any message, unless you're like George Orwell in Animal Farm or 1984, something like that, where the novel is about the message. If the whole thing is about that, and they talk about Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek. Um, Gene Roddenberry had some views, but it works because they're part of the story. He blends them in. It's not in your face. They're not telling you what to think or what to believe or what should be inclusive or should be out. None of that, right? It's just layered in. It's part of the story. You barely even notice it. It might give you something to think about later. That's how you that is how you do it. And it was the part I want to hit upon, and I keep getting sidetracked. It was so refreshing to hear somebody who's more on the left, or I guess more centrist now. Both AJ and Gary we're talking about, both of them are called right leaning or far right on now, and I wouldn't say they are at all. Um, I wouldn't say that in the least. I'm definitely more far right than they are. And that's because of the message that's been, it's pushing me away from all of that. You know, and it has, and I'm not going back. I've seen too much. I know too much now. There's no way I'm going to go back to that. Anyway, I'm still getting sidetracked. Anyway, this podcast, the Basement Nerdrotic one, they dropped like a day ago, and I just listened to it today. Um, Highly recommend. It's so engaging. It's so refreshing to hear people that you may not even agree with. And I really like AJ for this because he just offers his own viewpoint. He may not agree with you, and he may not you know be of the same ilk of you. And they talk about Art Bell being a great interviewer where he's going to let you have your say. He may not agree with it, but he's not going to give you a lot of pushback. He's going to let you make your point and move on. And that's why Art Bell was a great interviewer. I would also say Johnny Carson is in that same category. Johnny Carson was a great interviewer, and he let you talk. He let you have your say, and he would come back and he'd be like, "Oh, that's nice" or whatever, and then he would ask you the next question. You know, and he wouldn't interrupt. He wouldn't step over you. And Art Bell was the same way. He wouldn't interrupt or step over you unless he had to go to break. They both would do that if the producer came on and said, "Hey, we need to make some cash now and go to the ads." So it was very refreshing to hear that. Highly, highly recommend. Go watch this one, or it's probably better just to listen to it. It's just them talking into a microphone. So it's definitely a podcast, but would really recommend that. I just had to, while it was still fresh for me, make a video just highlighting how much I really enjoyed this, and you should too. All right, that's all I got for you. More content coming up on this channel. Tonight we're going to play some more Cyberpunk 2077. We'll get into that. Probably more side quests, although I think I'm right at um, part of a main of the main storyline. So we're going to do that first, and then we might have to do some more side quests. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. In and the Mouse PI will be next after I finished the Corpo uh, storyline, so that's upcoming. The big news is that they redid the virtual seventh guest. So the virtual game, the goggles and stuff that you have to wear, they redid that so that you can just play through the game. And that is going to drop June 4th, my birthday. It's my favorite game. It's my favorite series. I know they redid it. It's more cartoony. I don't think it's probably going to be quite as scary. Um, but I'd like to play through it, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll do that June 4th on my birthday. After that, or in between all of that, we'll do some more Destiny 2. I had somebody come back and say I should be doing that. That was getting a lot more views and stuff, and it was. But I'd also like to say I don't want to be a one game channel. I like video games. I like playing different things, and I don't want to be all horror games either. So we're not going to do that. We're going to jump around. We're going to play different things. That's kind of what this channel is about. But also when I have something to say, like today, um, it was nice to see AJ and Gary talk about that stuff. So might talk a little bit more about that on stream tonight. Until then, Be good to each other, and I'll see you then. More Fallout, more Cyberpunk 2077 tonight. Have a good night, everybody.